Oh, the weather outside is frightful.
I thought we were finished with those songs, huh?
What's the next line?
And something delightful.
Oh, come on, man.
Bruh. You did the run. You did the Christmas run.
We don't do that one though.
Oh, y'all do?
Weather
Let us
outside.
know, let us know.
Da,
Yeah,
da,
y'all
da,
do let
da.
us know. Maybe
Until
y'all didn't do it
delightful.
this time. Yeah.
And if there's no place to go,
Let us know,
is
let
that
us
what
know,
it
let us
is?
know.
Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Snowmageddon 2025.
I heard it was like that yesterday
What?
in
Snowmageddon?
Atlanta in the national championship
Oh,
game.
you already said.
Oh,
You
oh,
already tried to set
oh,
me up. You tried to set
oh.
me up, man. You tried to set me up. I already saw it. But you see this, bro? We representing.
Hey, you
We
still
ain't
represent.
scared.
I gotta give it to you.
We
You
ain't
still
scared,
represent.
man. This is just the beginning, man. It's just the
Right,
beginning.
right, right,
That's
right.
how it goes. How
That's
it goes. Hey,
It
man,
looked
no
like it was gonna
shame.
be a beatdown, but y'all came back. I
I,
gotta
I
say.
mean, look, man. Ohio State was the best team in the country, and we
Yeah,
were just a visiting we were just a visitor, happy
nah,
to
y'all
be there
got
this year,
far with
man.
all the injuries that y'all had, man, and
It, it,
it's gonna be
it was
good next year.
and still came back within one possession
Oh
of the
yeah,
game, and you
I'm
know,
excited
but
for him.
hey, you don't get no participation trophies here, buddy.
Nah, nah.
Not everybody gets a trophy, man, over here in South Bend. Well, I'm actually in Stone Mountain, but what's the difference? All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Local Musicians.
XP.
All right. Now, see, that's what I'm talking about, man. That was
Uh-huh. I anticipated,
you.
bro. You
You've
know what I
been
mean?
like, I can see you practicing that kick, snare, and hi hat, getting you in that pocket.
Right.
You know what I mean? You
I
know
was
what I
ready for you
mean?
this
So
time, bro. You know?
I saw. Welcome to the show, everybody. I think this will be a good one. We're all snowed in here in Atlanta and New Orleans,
Oh wow.
and I don't know where else in the South, man.
I saw Jack Jones jumping in the snow, bro. I said, "What?" I was like, bruh.
Leave it to Jack to bring us some winter cheer, man. Winter
Right, right.
cheer.
I wouldn't jump
You
in that
know,
snow, Jack. Not New Orleans, bro. You don't know what that mixture is in the streets,
them
bro.
cats, man, them cats out there. Wait a minute.
It's kinda briny, bro.
Wait a minute, man. It's kind of cold, man. That's not what I expected. You know, New Orleans, when they get a snowfall, it doesn't come from the sky.
Well,
You know what I mean?
hey,
It don't
if
come
you
from
have
the
any kind
sky,
of
man.
vices, don't go to New
It
Orleans. That's
don't
all I'm
come from the sky, dude. It does not.
don't don't go to New Orleans if you have any vices. I'm just telling you right now. Are you frozen, bro? Is he frozen, Falco? Well, welcome to Local Musicians XP, everybody. I don't normally say this, but you can follow us on YouTube. Check us out on Facebook, Twitch, Instagram, all your platforms. But definitely hit the like on YouTube. So I guess the only thing that's frozen in Stone Mountain is this picture of my good brother, Chris Burroughs. I assume that he's going to come back shortly, but we got a great show tonight. And I fully expect Mr. Burroughs to come back in, leaving off. Oh, he just left the chat and gonna come back in. So we got a great show. What did you guys think? Did y'all think that we were gonna get more snow today? And you think it's good to venture out tomorrow? Because I had a lot of multitude of emails concerning teaching tomorrow. So Kennesaw is actually open, but they had a disclaimer that said, please be mindful that some students and employees may be coming from other areas that's impacted by the storm. That would be me. I am impacted because I'm on the south side of town, and we got more accumulation of snow than above I-20, which is really rare. So I wonder what it looks like in Kennesaw. If you're in the chat, please let us know what it looks like over there. the surrounding areas inside the perimeter and outside the perimeter going toward 285. So, man, I'm looking forward to this show because we have a very special guest that's going to be coming up. But before we start that, just want to let you guys know that I've still been getting great feedback from all the Atlanta artists from the Gen Conference. Gary Motley made a showing, and that first jam session, man, he just tore it up. And I was just like really proud that another fellow Atlantan was representing. Even though he's from Birmingham, he makes his living here in Atlanta. I think everybody's from somewhere else. And then to see Will Hollifield and his fusion group with Philadelphia, they were representing as well. You had Lori Williams representing Lava High, of course, the group that was with me. Lava High also was with. Oh, hello, brother. Welcome back.
Did that on purpose. See, I got you.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You froze the screen to embody the freezing that's going on outside, right?
It froze, man. It froze. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
But yeah, so the artists really, really represented and held their own, man. So I know me and Chris, we both talk about visiting New York and other places, and it's a two or threefold kind of thing. One, to see what are cats dealing with in other areas, other regions, and then how we posit ourselves in regard and respect to those musicians. Not to compare as to see if we're better or they're better than us, but just to posit ourselves in that situation, see if we're learning and on par with what other cultures are doing, other places are doing, and if they're doing something different, we could learn that as well. So
and
Chris,
also
I was talking about
inspiration, also to gain inspiration
to see what they're doing. Every region has something that they add to it, and so the conferences are good to see that too. William Minifield, who was out, came out to Red Light and brought a cat, fellow teacher from Iowa, and his name is Curtis. I can't remember his last name, but he's a trumpet player. And man, he was really killing it. It was really dope. So it's good to hear other cats in other regions doing things, especially in Iowa. You wouldn't think jazz is happening, but they actually have a great jazz choral program in Iowa,
Well, are they swinging in Iowa, dude?
Bruh. They got a vocal group, bruh, So we'll see. Man. So can I switch to my rightful side, or you want to keep
it here we go.
Gotta do it, bro.
You right-handed, left-handed?
I am a creature of habit, bro. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
I gotta be
Falgu's in the background giving the nod of approval.
Thank you, Falgu. It's consistency, baby.
It throws you off, right? It throws you off.
It does.
So, but yeah, man. We you have to do that. You have to get a checkup, gain, and also you, like I said before, you gain inspiration, but it's also good to get away if you need to, and because playing somewhere else gives you a different, sometimes it gets you a different perspective too, man. All that stuff.
Right.
Yeah, man. Absolutely, man.
So did you do any music today? Or
nope. Giving these hands a rest, dude. Man, I'm telling you, I'm going up. I got to go up. We've been back and forth to Charlotte quite a bit, so we got to go back up this weekend. But I'm getting my cymbals back from Timothy Roberts. So I wanted to get those back and throw those up, man, to get some new inspiration. So going there and get those and come back. And I've been trying to plan.
You doing that this weekend?
Doing it this weekend. Nice. And I've been thinking about what I want to approach this year, which is a lot of reggae music and dub music, and I've been doing a lot of listening, man. I've been checking out Monty Alexander's.
Love Monty, bro. That's the next cat after Oscar Peterson for me.
I always forget about him, man. And I was talking to Jamel, our brother Jamel Mitchell, and he was like, we were just talking about reggae in general. We were talking about just, different artists and stuff. And he said, man, I remember seeing Monty Alexander at it was a festival. He had two drummers. He had a cat that was swinging, and then a cat that was doing and they were switching off. Yeah.
Wow, nice.
And he said, man, it blew his mind. I was like, man, Monty Alex, I have never really checked. I mean, of course, know how incredible and listen to different, but never really went into, because he's from Jamaica. I mean, that's his,
Yes.
So I just started checking out his, he did a tribute to Bob Marley record.
Oh yeah.
That's super cool. So I've been checking that out. But he got several, man, that have that sort of vibe. So I'm really, that's it. I want to hear, man, how he's mixing the two languages together.
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of listening, man, just listening and getting ready to get into my next little deep dive. You know what I mean? So,
well, Falgu, you're gonna have to go get him some more CDM coffee, bro, because if he joined a reggae band.
Speaking of,
you got some right there?
Speaking of, I got some right here.
Well, you're gonna need some if you join a reggae band, bro.
Because they don't start till 2 a.m.
Till 2, bro. They, in the words of Irie Vibration, we don't start till the crowd get here.
Dude, I've had just a little bit of interaction with those cats, man. I'm like, that's not for me. But I enjoy y'all's music though, and I want to learn. But I'll hold off on the gigs though. I'm cool.
You mean like at the senior assisted living places, they have New Year's Eve like at 10 o'clock. And that's it, bro. 9 o'clock, and that's it, bro.
Man,
I did one of them joints at 7:30, bro. We were out of there. What just happened? They did the countdown and everything. It's like, I got 5 more hours to go.
5 more hours, man. 5 more hours. So,
man.
So yeah, man. So I'm looking forward to that, man, and just getting back into practicing some of that stuff and been checking it out, man. There's some intricacies there that I thought cats were overdubbing though, man. You ever listen to some of that stuff? I'm like, there's no way this cat's playing that. And I talked to them, they're like, they playing it, man. They playing it. I'm like, what?
All the little cross rhythms and stuff that's going on, man.
Stuff with the hi-hat, and I was like, oh, this is where Stuart Copeland from The Police got all this, this stuff. People think he's the, and I'm like, he ain't doing them, but taking stuff for stealing from these reggae drummers.
That's what he's doing.
He got his own thing, but it is what it is, man.
Even the piano players, like, you got the top keyboard, and his other hand is doing all kind of stuff. You're like, man, where'd it come from with that?
Where'd it come from with that? Right, there's two people, but I guess it's just another phase of independence, man.
Right,
like with playing against the what they call the skank
rhythm, yeah.
And man, that's actually pretty cool, because I hear some on this Monty record, there's a lot of organ. There's a lot of organ on it, man. A lot of organ. So
yeah, all the reggae bands in New Orleans, bro, and it probably was here the same way here. You had to have that M1 Korg organ, bro.
The M1, man. The M1. What is it? There's that one sound on the M1, dude. Is it like a?
I can't think of an organ.
Some kind of organ patch, man.
Yeah. Everybody used it, but you had to have it. And then cats
still got an M1. You
still got an M1? M1W. I had the one right after the M1. But I should have kept I should have got the M1.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, everybody's snowed in, man. We got a nice little community going tonight, and I think we're gonna really enjoy. I saw our everything.
Maybe he had a gig or something, bro.
Yeah. He had to run out, man. The big band had something going on right quick, man.
Maybe Jeff Jarvis is gonna come in for him.
Man, I told him, I was like, because he's like, well, how long? He's like, how long does this thing last? I was like, until I get tired of you and kick you off.
Man, this cat got to have every detail. That's not the way his mind thinks. You got to have every detail, but he's cool with it though. Like, yo, how long does this thing last here, bro?
Man, look, man, this cat, after all these years, it's just like family, dude. You part
Bro,
of
the greatest thing is I love is when y'all have like a face off, and I know y'all about to
oh
rip each other, bro, and y'all look at
brothers, man. We be going at it, man.
sometimes head to toe, bro. I see Joe turn around, look, and he whisper to me, "Hey, bro, look at them shoes that Burroughs."
See, the thing is, he always gets an ally, man. I'm over there by myself. I gotta like come at it by myself with no.
Hey,
And
I
he
laugh
always
at
gets one
whatever's
of you
funny,
cats
bro.
on me, man.
I'll laugh at whatever's funny.
That's funny,
Oh,
man. But hey, listen, with no further ado, we just gonna bring our man in. We don't
Yes.
need no introduction, man. Hardest working man in Atlanta, in my opinion. And
Sure.
we're gonna bring him in. We're gonna hang out, man, and we're gonna see what's going on. All right. We can
Hey,
see half of Joe Gransden's face. He doesn't
man,
even know how
bro.
to get the camera straight yet, man. But he'll be all
Oh,
right.
other way, Doc. Other way, go the other way.
Man, you guys using this cheap platform. I knew it right off the bat.
There we go. Yeah. So you want to put the camera straight, man. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I know
Sometimes I
what
can
y'all
tell you what to do.
Why
bro.
your head so big though, bro? Why's your head so big,
man.
man? Back up.
I'm telling you, man. It's
He
just
had a birthday the other day, bro. You know how those older cats get, man. You know.
Look.
Man, look at how you guys used to. I told you, I knew they were gonna do this. They were gonna make my face real big and make that.
That's you, man. That's you.
Man,
You got a big head anyway. You got a big head.
You got a big brain, bro. You got a big brain.
Listen, people, we are having fun, right? This is what we do 24/7. If we're together, this is all we do, man, is cut on each other. This is not for the weak. And this is part of when you become brothers, when you become this is what it is, man, is you better have some thick skin, man, because you are going to get zinged at any moment, man. And we love it. We love it. What's going on, man? What's going on with you?
Man, I tuned in at 9. It's 9:15. That was a nice nap. So I'm ready to roll.
You're late, though. You're late. Did
you say 9:15?
Is that what I said? I
said
be ready. I said be ready at 9. Go on at 9:15.
I was ready.
He came in and had a quick gig for 4 minutes and came back in, bro. He left out.
Man, we just giving it back to him. Man, no, you came in right on time. Right on time, man.
Well, who is this cat? We haven't really properly introduced him, you know.
Well, we're gonna let him. We should just make him introduce himself, man. Because what's your name, son? What's your name, son?
Gordon Burnick. I am.
No, man, you don't need no introduction, dude. Listen, man, what's been going on, man? We had a crazy busy holiday season as usual, and you're right back in it, man. In January, dude, you don't take breaks, man. You're like Bill Belichick, man. No days off. No days off, man. Your Buffalo Bills are playing for the championship, man. Going to the Super Bowl. So
that's pretty cool, right? That's a serious thing for all of us from Buffalo because we're heartbroken so many times, right? But it's okay. We love our team, and whatever happens. Man, I'm talk about me looking white. Look at that, man. I got light shining on my head. I can see
Nobody said that except for you.
You can see what's behind me through.
Oh, you translucent around this bad boy?
Anyway, I'm happy.
But Buffalo's a serious football team. I mean, they're serious about football in Buffalo, man.
Oh man, yeah, Frankie. Buffalo. I grew up in Buffalo, and hockey and football is just insane. And I was living there. Actually, I just moved here when they were in the Super Bowl 4 times. Was it?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. I remember. Hold up. Did I lose you for a minute?
No,
you're good.
Okay.
You're good.
I remember that first one with the wide right kick. I remember my father was so upset he got up and he pushed the TV over a couple feet to see if the replay of the kick would make it in. He had bought for that game. He had went out and he bought one of those massive TVs that you could get in like 1993 that sits on the ground.
Oh yeah.
It was like about $8,000 and it was probably a 32-inch, but it looked like a piece of furniture. It was like the most incredible thing you'd ever seen. Now you wouldn't even plug it in, right? Because
right.
Right.
But yeah, we've been heartbroken so much, but we love that team. And if you grew up in Buffalo, you know, I mean, Buffalo's one of the greatest cities in the world to grow up in. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody's proud of the Bills. Everybody's proud of the Buffalo Sabres. There's a great jazz scene there. Yeah, it's cold, but we didn't care, man. We played hockey. We went skiing. That didn't bother us at all. It's just a very proud town to be from. And even though I've been in Atlanta in New York City before Atlanta for many, many years, Buffalo's where my heart is, you know.
Man, that's a good organ scene in Buffalo too. I went up there and I was amazed at how many great organ players they have out there in Buffalo. But you also played hockey too, right?
I wanted to play pro hockey. I mean, I loved hockey. I was hockey as you could be. I mean, I had the diet down, I had the workout down. I was a defenseman. I really wanted to be a professional hockey player, and I played trumpet in the band. You had to kind of pick an instrument, and my grandfather was a great trumpet player, so I played the trumpet, and I liked it. I didn't love it, but I liked it. And I remember specifically we were playing a concert with a guest artist in 7th grade. Our band director brought in a guest artist, a trumpet player named Alan Vizzuti, who's a monster trumpet player. He can play jazz, he can play classical, he can do anything on the trumpet. He's like just a superstar educator. He's one of the greatest. And I didn't want to go to the concert because I had a hockey game that night, a very important hockey game. And my father and mother said, no, you've committed to this band concert. You have got to go and you got to play. There's hockey games every week, right? So I threw a fit, but they forced me to go to this concert. And I heard Alan Vizzuti play at rehearsal for this concert that afternoon. And I told my mother, I said, that's what I'm doing the rest of my life. Wow. So it was instant. I mean, I had known I'd liked music and all that, but I wanted to play hockey, and I switched gears at that moment. And sometimes if I see Alan Vizzuti around the country, whatever's going on, and I happen to run into him, I always tell him that story. I say, Al, you're the reason why I do this for a living. And he always says, I'm so sorry.
At least you got your teeth, right? If you're a professional hockey player.
There he is. Oh, what do you got? A producer back there? What's going on?
Hey, man, you relax, man. Well, relax.
First you try to dog us out, bro. You know, now we're professional around this man.
See, we serious up in here. This is
the real deal, man. I didn't know Wi-Fi at the Waffle House, though. I'm glad you got
it. Hey, so what? How old were you when you saw this concert?
7th grade. What is that?
7th grade.
I don't know what
13, something like that. 13, 14.
19, but yeah.
Man, so when did you start sort of I mean, were you checking out much jazz? Were you checking out much like bebop stuff or jazz records at that time? Or when did you kind of start doing your listening to kind of really learn how to play?
In the house growing up, it was on all the time. My father's a great jazz piano player, and there was always music in the family. So in the house, I heard it all the time, and I liked it, but I didn't study it. I didn't think that it would ever be for me. When I decided that trumpet was going to be my thing, and I think it was 7th grade, 7th grade. I went full in, just like I did with hockey. I practiced all day long to the point where I developed bad habits with my embouchure. Like I didn't take a rest. I paid for it later because I had to redo my embouchure. But I was really into the music thing at that age. So my father brought home a record for me one day, an actual vinyl record. He had heard a track on the radio station, the jazz radio station. It was Chet Baker and Paul Bly. Is that how you say his name, Tyrone? Paul Bly or Bly? Yeah. A great piano player, and it was just a duo record. And my father left this vinyl record on my dresser when I got home from school and said, Joe, check this out. And I listened to it. I put it on my little record player, and I was blown away by Chet's sound and by his melodic approach, and just the way that record made me feel. It was like a cold, wintry day, that whole record. I still listen to it. I've listened to it 1,000 times. And so I instantly got my trumpet out that day, and I sat in my little, like where my desk was. I remember this, man. And I pointed the horn towards the window, and I closed my eyes, and I tried to copy what Chet was playing. And he would play a note or a little phrase. It wasn't fast. It was not a lot of bebop or anything. It was just real pretty playing. And I would play those notes back, and I would try to get the same kind of buzz and air that he would get in his sound and bend the pitches. So I did that every day coming home from school. And I developed, without knowing it, a little bit of an ear, just a little bit, just enough to, now I'm in jazz band, just enough to get around a little bit. So that was the beginning of that. And then it was kind of all over. I had to have everything. I had to have Lee Morgan. I was asking my father all the time, who do I check out next? What do I buy next? I got some private teachers, and that's kind of how all that started. And I went in that jazz direction very early on, instead of like the classical trumpet direction. That wasn't really for me, and not because I didn't want to, but because that's a whole nother style of playing that my face wasn't ready for. Picking off notes perfectly.
How did you transition from, like, you want to do trumpet, and you just had to go downstate to New York City and probably do that, but what brought you to Atlanta? Why Atlanta over some of the colleges in New York?
When I graduated high school in Buffalo, I went to Fredonia State College, which is an hour south of Buffalo. Great college. But my father was transferred to Atlanta for his job. And I went to, I did 2 years of college at Fredonia, and then I left college and went on the road with the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra. I did Jeff Jarvis actually was called for the job, and he couldn't do it. He owned Kendor Publishing, and he had a big career. He wasn't about to go on the road. And so he suggested they call me. They did. And the way those kind of bands work, those ghost bands, is if you can play a little bit, they take you out. You go out there, and you got about 2 weeks on the bandstand, and you either get a plane ticket home or you make the cut. And I went out as a college kid. I could read a little bit. I could play some solos a little bit, and I could play a little bit in tune, but I wasn't really ready for that type of ensemble playing. I mean, that band's been around since the 1930s, right? I mean, guys come and go, but the band was tight. So we went right to Europe, and I remember specifically phoning it in. I was playing fourth trumpet, and I didn't really think it was that important. I had one solo. It was on Swanee River, and I had 8 minutes. And it's like embellished, right? So every night I try to play like Freddie Hubbard over those 8 measures. It was just horrible, man. And the band leader, Buddy Morrow, one night said, "Man, just play the melody. Just play the melody." So I did, and they liked that. But I was all into. I was the youngest guy in the band. How old are you? I was probably 21, 20, maybe 19. I don't even know, but I was into the girls. I was always trying to check out the girls after the gig. I wasn't into the music, in other words. And the lead trumpet player said, "Hey, man, I got to tell you this because I know your father. All the Buffalo Cats know you. They're going to fire you. They're going to send you home."
Oh, wow.
What? He said, "Yeah, you're not. You're just phoning it in, and you're not taking care of business." So he said, "If you want to keep your job tonight on that fourth trumpet chair, play as loud as you can, and I'll tell you if it's too loud. But I want to hear every note you play. Play as loud as you can. And when you stand up to take that solo, just play the melody with the biggest, most beautiful sounds you could." And I thought, all right, I'll try it. And I played, man, as loud as I could. And I couldn't really play that loud. I wasn't as developed as the other musicians in the trumpet section. But I played loud, and I held down my part. And I saw the drummer, Tommy Kasparek, look at me a couple of times, give me kind of a, "Yeah, man, yeah." The bass trombone player who was sitting in front of me turned around. He looked at me, yeah. And I remember that night specifically. Now I was part of the section, right? I remember almost levitating out of my chair at the level of swing that I felt, that I never felt in my life at that point. I might have heard it on records, but I never personally felt it. I could not believe that this band that I thought was playing this corny music was swinging so hard. And these were all cats. I mean, they were really, really great players. I was just, if it wasn't Freddie Hubbard, if it wasn't Miles Davis, I didn't think it was cool. If it wasn't Chet Baker. And that night changed my life too. I kept my job, and I learned how important it is to be a section player and to take care of your part, and to you don't always have to be the guy playing the high notes and the fast notes and the solos. So big lesson for me.
Man, that whole being part of a team thing has been, I can't get away from that. Like, a lot of what's going on in sports now, a lot of what's going on with music, everybody wants to be the guy. You're seeing the individualism. Social media promotes the individualism. It's just about single people, and it's driven me to a point to where, I mean, it's had some dark days, man, of just like, man, everything that I love is out of style. It's kind of how I feel. And especially when it comes to music, because I was always into the band. I was always into bands. I was into, I mean, obviously, there was solo artists, But, me coming up more through like pop music and rock music and funk music, there's not that many. So, I mean, there are solo artists, obviously, in pop music, but it's about the band, man. And when I got into jazz, it was the same thing. It was about Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. It was about the band and that whole thing, just what you talked about, man, of you not thinking your fourth trumpet. What am I doing? Man, ain't nobody listening to what I'm doing. I'm like,
I don't get any limelight. I have one solo per night,
have one solo. I'm playing whatever. I'm just playing with the rest of the guy. Ain't nobody hearing me. But then when you give your all and all of a sudden everybody's looking at you, man, that's a serious lesson right there.
Yeah. It was the greatest lesson I ever had. And I carry it with me today. And Tyrone, to go back to your question, I mean, I left that band after a year, and my family had moved from Buffalo to Atlanta. So I had to make a decision, finish college in Fredonia or go to Atlanta. I came down to Atlanta. I met Dr. Vernick at Georgia State. He offered me a scholarship. I packed up and I drove my Trans Am to Atlanta. Wow. I moved in with my parents and I started school instantly. And that lesson that I learned on that band followed me into my career at Georgia State University, my career as a sideman. I don't really do a whole lot of sideman work now, but I absolutely love when somebody calls me to play with their band, because now I know what they are going through as a leader. And now I really want to be a part of the team. And it's so cool to sit back in a section, or maybe if I'm the only trumpet, to take care of business and do my job and not have to worry about all the other things. Did the guys get paid? Did the food come out on time? Is the PA right? Is just actually finally make music for once and be a part of a team. And it really comes together when it has to do with my big band, because I can look at the musicians in my band, and all of them are really good soloists. But I'm kind of fronting the band. I'm singing a lot. I'm kind of the guy. So there's not room for solos on every song that just open up, and it's not that kind of a band. So I can see in some of their eyes sometimes that they want to blow, man. They want to play some solos. They want more and more and more. And I have to kind of constantly balance that based on the gig. So that lesson, I'm so glad I kept that job. But if that trumpet player, and I wish I could remember his name, if he hadn't sat me down and told me it's all over unless you take care of business.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great story, man. Great story.
Yeah,
man. So, I mean, so here's we were, just throwing out some ideas and some things to talk about. And, your switch from being a sideman, to a leader. I know there's some personal things that probably maybe accelerated that a little bit, but just talk a little bit about, going from being a sideman, then all of a sudden you're kind of trying to lead gigs and maybe try to help, because there's guys out there that are probably thinking about the same thing. You're doing all the sideman, man, I want to kind of lead stuff, but what am I really getting into? So maybe just give a few ideas, a few pointers here on making that switch and what that's all about.
Yeah, what happened for me really young, it was early mid-20s maybe, that I actually became a leader and kind of slid away from the sideman thing. And I had made a very conscious effort and a very conscious decision in my early 20s that I didn't want to be on the road constantly, like a lot of my friends were, especially when I lived in New York. Some of these guys were married, and they'd get on a plane and they'd go to Japan and Europe, and they'd be gone 2, 3, 4, 5 months sometimes and come back. And I mean, that's how they had to make a living. And God bless them for doing that, because I mean, it's the life of a musician. I mean, that's what happens. But when I got to Atlanta, I didn't really want to do that. I loved Atlanta. I loved being close to my folks. I had a girlfriend who's now my wife. Charissa and I have been together forever, and I saw it going that way. I saw someday asking her to marry me, and hopefully her saying yes. So, and then having a family. So I said, man, maybe if I'm lucky, I can figure out a way to establish something in Atlanta, in Georgia, in the Carolinas, in Florida, over the course of a number of years, where I could be out for 2 or 3 days and drive right back home, or I could be home most nights in my house. So early on, I had that plan. So how do I make that happen? Well, becoming a leader is a whole new thing, especially in your 20s. I was very lucky to have Neil Starkey. He had my back, and I had Bill Anshell. He had my back, and I got a gig by chance, because my girlfriend, who's now my wife, Charissa, was working at Veni Vidi Vici, and they wanted a jazz group. And she said, well, my boyfriend plays trumpet. So they hired us. They liked us. We did 2 or 3 weeks there. And then the manager said, look, we do like you, but you got to hire a singer because we want to hear these lyrics. And I said, well, give me another $50. We were making $50 in a plate of spaghetti, right? And he said, I don't have another $50. I have to get another band. And I lied. And I said, well, I sing. And he said, all right, next week. And that's really what happened. I went home and I said, Dad, I did something stupid. So my father, I think he suggested a couple songs like I'm Old Fashioned, Fly Me to the Moon, 3 or 4 or 5 songs. And I learned them. And the next week I sung them. And it was horrible, man. I was shaking. My voice was shaking. But I noticed that the people eating dinner and all that, they would look over and they'd kind of do that. And all of a sudden they could hear the lyrics to these songs. And that was another lesson to me. Wow, man, I could sing this song, which takes 45 seconds to get through the head. And then Bill can take a solo on piano. Neil can take a solo on bass. I could take a solo on trumpet. The song could be 6 minutes long. And then I sing the little 45 seconds again, and that's it. And that keeps my job. And so they dug that and they liked it. They gave us a second night. And before long, I had 7 nights a week plus a Sunday brunch with my trio of Neil and Bill and myself. Sometimes Jeff Hayden, sometimes it was Bales when he moved to town. Tyrone, you did it many times. But I had seven gigs a week. And I said, okay, something's happening here. This is cool. Now I was only making, I don't know, $100 per gig or something, whatever it was. But I was 23, 4 years old, right? I was making $700-800 a week back then. We're talking 93, maybe 94. Right. And then people would come up and they would say, hey man, you sound good. Would you play our daughter's wedding, or would you play our Christmas party, or would you play this, or would you play that? So that started happening. And guys like Del Baroni and people that were established in Atlanta already that were a little bit older than me gave me lots of advice on how much to charge, how to write a contract. Greg Coyle, you remember Greg Coyle, great trumpet player?
Yeah.
He gave me my first contract. He said, here, I have a friend that's a lawyer. She made this up for you. So now I had a contract. Somebody made me a logo. All of a sudden I was a leader. I didn't know how to file taxes. I didn't know how to really do anything. I could barely count off the songs properly, to be honest with you. I could do it in the trio setting in the restaurant, but I mean like at a Christmas party, right? And now I have a drummer with me. It was like, I didn't learn that in college. It was like, you just had to do it. And I did it. And I said, this is the direction I'm going in. There was plenty of people that called me to go out on the road with their band. I was younger, right? You know, they call the young guys and gals. And I would say, no. Do you want to go do 3 months on a cruise ship? No, I don't. And there's, like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not putting that down. But I love being home. I love playing golf. I love practicing. And I said, man, maybe there's a way that I can make this work and raise a family and stick around town and teach a little bit, you know. So that was kind of how it all started. And it just snowballed from there. And you know, a lot of different things have happened over the years in different size bands. But that's how I became a leader.
You know what's crazy, Joe? I remember the first time I met you, I played, and you said, hey man, can you come to my crib just to go over like some songs of repertoire that you do? Because it was your first time, my first time playing with you. I think it was at the Ritz at Lake Oconee. And so I get to your house is when you used to live, I think it was Candler Road close to Decatur or whatever. Once it crosses over a street, I think the name changes, but I can't remember what name it was. But anyway, I was over there, man. We're getting ready to rehearse, go over some tunes, and the sheer amount of calls that you were fielding and emails and stuff, I was like, is this what it takes to be a leader? How does he have time to practice and do things? And you told me, he's like, man, I just try to steal 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there. But he's like, it's exhausting. Just wake up, get my coffee, and start going through emails and just giving out quotes. Is that like, I don't think people understand how big of a responsibility that is to be a leader, and you can't really concentrate on the music as much by feeling all those different things. What advice would you give somebody about that?
Well, you're right. I mean, it's insane. It's like I have a full-time job, and I do have an agent that books me here and there a little bit, but I book most everything myself, and so it's constant. I get up in the morning, and I'm in front of the computer. To get away to practice my trumpet I really have to find time to do it. A lot of times I practice on the gig, right? If I have 6-7 nights a week, which I don't quite have as many that these days as I'm getting a little older, but I would almost practice on the gig. But the advice that I would give, that I had to learn the hard way, because I never been diagnosed with like ADD or anything like that, but I probably have it, because I can't, like, if I meet you and you tell me your name, 10 seconds later, I'm like, who am I talking to? And is he going to stop talking? Like, my brain just doesn't, I can only focus on what I love, and I can focus on trumpet 12 hours a day, man, constant, just focus. But other things I can't. So what I had to learn, if I wanted this to work, is to be extremely organized, and have my contracts over here, and have my date book over here. And I heard you cracking up for busting my chops later about, I need to know every detail. But I had so many, and I'm not bragging, I was just very lucky. I had so many gigs at that point in time that I needed to send specific details to 25 guys a week, or maybe it was the same guys, but lots of details. And now with the big band, it's insane, right? So I would send everything out. I would make sure I would say, please get back to me. Please let me know you got this. And if one guy didn't get back to me, he probably got it, but what if he didn't?
Right.
All I have to do is say, hey, did you get that message? And he says, oh yeah, sorry, right? Sometimes guys will be, hey man, yeah, I got it. Chill, right? But I got to know. I got
some written confirmation.
Yeah, because I have a spreadsheet, and on the spreadsheet it'll say I got Tyrone, Chris, and Neil, and Chris and Tyrone got back to me, but Neil hasn't. So there's no checkbox by Neil's name. So when that gig comes up, it's kind of my fault, because I should have double checked, right? I'm the leader, I'm the guy in charge, and a lot of times I'll book myself somewhere, and that same night I got a trio somewhere else. So you have to become a businessman or a businesswoman if you're gonna go that route, as well as keeping your chops up and trying to be a performer on the highest level you can. But it's all about organization, and it's all about getting up early. It's all about not sleeping in and wasting your day. Get up early, get your stuff done, practice, get whatever you can done, and you can chill a little later. But it's constant, man. Even these days, I got a 15-year-old son, and he's constantly yelling, Dad, come on in here, let's hang out. And I'm like, I got to finish 3 more emails, and then I finish them, and 1 more comes in. And it's not like gig, new gig. It might be the same gig. It might be the client saying, oh, and I forgot to ask you, can you do this, and this? Oh my God. Yes. Right. So but if you want to not have to divvy up the money, for instance, to an agent, to a manager, to somebody running your books for you, I can do it all myself. I know the business now. I know everything about the business. I know how to talk to a client. So if I can find the time and I can be organized enough, I'm gonna do it and take care of my family and invest money and save money and try to do the best I can.
Yeah, I think we've learned a lot from you being on the bandstand, and it takes a particular type of person to not be intrusive in the business part, but to observe and also offer things. Like Chris and we do that for each other. If I'm in his band or he's in my band, or even with your band, I try to make myself available, because being a band leader, what it entails. Even if it means like, hey man, do you need me to go ask this person their name in this wedding party that, spoke to me one time, and I'm supposed to, my name. Like, so, I'll be the one to go say, hey, what's your name? Whatever. And report back. But those kind of little things, you can empathize with being a band leader if you were once a band leader. It should make you a better sideman,
Yeah. And the sideman thing is such an important role at any level, at any age. Like you two, for instance, if you were a sideman, I know you're both leaders plenty of times on your own gigs, but if you're a sideman on my gig, I never have to worry. I never have to worry about Neil Stark. I never have to worry about Chris Burroughs or Tyrone Jackson. I know they're going to be there on time. I know they're going to have the right outfit on, because a lot of us, we want to go play jazz gigs, and we want to wear what we're going to wear, and we want to look cool and all that. But sometimes we play gigs where you have to have a suit and tie on, or you have to have such and such on. So you guys are always fantastic about that. And there's a lot of musicians in town that are super professional, but the ones that are not in that area, but maybe they play as good as anybody, sometimes, just to avoid the aggravation as a leader of 15 things going on, you'd almost rather go with the cats that are going to make sure everything is taken care of, and maybe don't quite play on the same level as the other cats.
Facts.
We have talked about that, I don't know how many times, man, where, and this will kind of lead us into we had another thing we were going to talk about. You just kind of led right into is choosing a sideman. What do you look for in a musician? And the three of us have had infinite talks about this, about just like, man, I'd like to use this cat, or man, I use this cat because. And just like you said, as a leader, you have a million things to think about. The last thing you really want to think about is there any kind of trust issue with the drummer that I've hired or the piano player that I've hired, because it's going to throw you off. If one little thing goes off with that, it's like, oh man, it just becomes too much. And it may not be, something really that's that big a deal in the grand scheme of things, but it's just enough to where it's like, man, I'm trying to keep this machine going. I got a million things to think about. And I think for young cats, I was in that boat, man. I had to learn the hard way in several situations that I'm sure that I lost because I didn't take the little details serious, which is what you do when you're young. When you're young, you don't really understand, just like you said, you don't understand the stress of being a leader or trying to keep multiple cats together. So, but you kind of have sort of a group of cats that you've over the years have built a serious trust with, man. And a lot of people ask me that. They're like, man, how do I get hired by these guys? It seems like everything is a click. I'm like, well, it's not really a click, man. I mean, you could look at it like that, but it's just more of you just work with people. You start working with them so often, you don't have to think about them anymore. So just give your 2 cents about that.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you a lot. I mean, the whole idea of that's what we do when we're young I got lucky because I had Bill and Shell and I had Neil Starkey and they were older than me and they are as professional as anybody. So they would be the gigs before me sometimes. Right. And I saw how that happened and I saw how important that was. Sometimes we'd have a drummer and a sax player and a trumpet player or whatever on our gigs. And maybe one cat was late and Bill would say to me, why is he late? Or Neil would say, well, why isn't he here? I mean, he's 30 minutes late for the gig, starts in 10 minutes. I don't know. And this is really, if we go way back to the beginning in 1993, 94, 95, I mean, maybe we had cell phones. I don't know, but we weren't calling people on cell phones every 10 seconds.
Dangerous.
And, sometimes somebody would come in.
Pager, bro. I had a beeper, man.
Yeah.
You have to wait to get back to you.
Page me again, man.
Pocket full of quarters and you.
Yeah, but those things would happen, and like there was traffic. Well, yeah, you live in Atlanta. Traffic also for Chris and Tyrone, but they're here right now. Obviously, things happen sometimes, but if that happens, if you're the guy that always does that, always blames it on traffic or always blames it on something, the leader is not going to say, I don't like that guy anymore. It has nothing to do with a personal thing. It's a business. And if I have guys walking in late and my client sees it, maybe I don't get the call next time, right? I don't really get called by a lot of bands to play with them anymore. Maybe it's my own fault because a lot of times I'm busy and I've had my own gigs. But if I don't make my own gigs, if I don't go out there and make my own living and book my own gigs, I'm on the computer all day booking gigs. I don't work. So I have to protect those gigs that do come in and make sure that the cats are on time. They show up nice. Yeah, we got to play good. We got to swing, especially if it's at a performing arts center or it's a concert. We got to bring it, no doubt. But all that other stuff kind of has to be there too. I mean, it just has to be.
I remember that that same gig I referenced, the first gig I had with you at the Ritz at Lake Oconee, I felt like it was a test because you had never played with me before. You had heard about me. I think Clay Hewlett had recommended me for the gig, whatever. And we did a song. You didn't know what repertoire to call that I knew, but you started calling some like easy tunes first to see if I would know it. And I could tell, it's like, okay, let's see what this cat knows kind of thing. And plus you're trying to make the gig happen, right? And then we played Fly Me to the Moon. I remember that. And we played it in G minor. And you looked at me first and you're like, can we go up? I said, yeah. And right then and there, we modulated A minor. And I saw this look like, okay, I can work with this cat. So you're looking for a skill set too, because the question is, what do you look for in a musician? Are you looking for certain skill set or knowledge of repertoire or willing to work? What are those musical attributes that you're looking for?
Yeah, the musical attributes are just that. I mean, I need musicians that know tunes. I'm not totally against that whole iReal Pro thing. I mean, I know that that's needed, but I hate when that's on the bandstand for Blue Bossa. I hate when it's on the bandstand for Misty. I hate when it's, I mean, you know, at some point you got to learn these songs. You know, you're 45 years old, but but I also look for the ability to change keys. The ability to change, which you obviously are fantastic at. Kenny Banks is fantastic. A lot of guys can really do that, because you never know if somebody comes up and says, "Hey, here's $100. My daughter wants to sing such and such, but she's got to do it." And you can't then go to the iReal Pro and try to pull it up. And I mean, it just doesn't look right. I mean, we're musicians, and we have to develop those skills. Now, maybe we don't have those at 22 years old. I know I didn't, so I would never be down towards a cat if he couldn't do those things. But I just need quickness. I need quick on the fly response, and I need swing. It's got to swing, and sometimes it doesn't. There's gigs that I have where it's not swinging so much sometimes, but everything else is perfect, right? Everybody looks good. The crowd is happy. The people are happy, and I'll take that, right?
Right.
My big pet, right? I'll take that sometimes. I won't take it at the Blue Note when I play the Blue Note or Dizzy's or a jazz gig. We're playing a jazz show. This is a jazz show. But I'm talking about like a wedding or a private party or when we're back on background music, right?
Right.
I look for, especially in drummers and bass players, I look for cats with really good time, really, really good time. And I feel like either I'm getting older or I don't know, but it seems less and less sometimes that's, I mean, there's a lot of guys that can play a million notes, man, and just play the hell out of the drum set, but really good, solid, Marlon Patton time, Chris Burroughs time, really right down the middle that you can count on is it's not always there. And I'm just talking, right? I mean, it's not in my mind, when I'm hearing it. A lot of times I do gigs without drummers, budget reasons or whatever the reason might be. So that bass player, man, he's got to be on top. I don't mean he's got to rush, but he's got to be on top. He's got to keep it moving. So I got a little place to sit back and play my horn or sing. So I look for that, and I think Neil Starkey's great at that. I mean, God, Kevin Smith. There's so many great bass players. I'm not calling anybody out, but that's what I look for, and that's what I want.
Well, I think when you first called me to play with you, this is back in the Churchill days, the Churchill Grounds days. And, for those of you that don't know, Churchill Grounds was the premier jazz club, it was 7 nights a week, downtown Atlanta. And everybody kind of had, not everybody, but there was like, you could have your own night, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then it would be feature acts on Friday and Saturday. But Joe, you had Wednesdays, and you were just looking for something different. I had been playing Mondays at that time with my band, Afro Sounds, and we had connected a little bit, but we had never really worked together or anything. But you would come in and sit on my gig, and so we had kind of hit it off. I remember you asking me, man, would you be interested in playing Wednesday? And I hadn't really played a lot of straight ahead at that time. I was super green. And
now you tell us.
Whatever. Shoot. The first time I played with you, now we'll go back and everybody knows that story. But
right.
But man, and I was like, you know what? This has been on my mind. It's something I want to do. Let me go. I'm just gonna try. I'll go try. And I remember, man, you would never really tell me what to play, man, but it was always like, you were like, man, that tempo's got to be the same. You got to, and I got a real nice little, going to school on that, man, in terms of just really being responsible. Not that you're not responsible for it in other styles, but if you're going to be swinging, if you're going to play in that bebop style, and it's not that the time doesn't maybe move a hair here and a hair there, but it's basically got to be in that same spot. And another thing, man, was you like to play fast, man. I mean, especially back in them days, bro.
Ooh, the high museum gigs. Oh my goodness.
You like to play fast, and it was, and that was something, man. I don't know why. I kind of naturally could kind of keep that, and you really dug that. But it was a great learning ground, man, for us. And we did, I might have did that gig for, I'm sure, for over a year before you called me about the other stuff, because you were checking me out. You wanted to kind of see, okay, is he going to be on time every time? Is he going to learn the song? What's he going to? And it was a great time for me, man, to just learn so much about, about the style, but also, man, somebody that's really like dependent on, like, dude, that tempo's, you got to keep that tempo there, man. So I appreciate that.
I dug that you didn't play a lot of jazz at that point. I like that about you because, first of all, it brought a different flavor to the music. But secondly, you were constantly asking me what I could do. What can I do better, or what can I do different, or what can I do? What do I? Oh, I see. Send me some music. Send me the record of that song that you're talking about. And it's rare that a drummer, especially a guy that's the same age as me that plays on the level you do, is asking me for advice, right? Or asking me a rhythm. It's rare that a rhythm section cat needs advice from a horn player. Maybe that's a better way, right? Because it's not like we don't know anything about that, but we don't know a whole lot about it, right? But you were asking me, and it made me feel good. It made me feel like you wanted to learn and get better at it. I thought you were great at it anyway, but you did get better at it, and you did start really swinging and digging in, and yeah, and I did call a lot of fast tunes, and I know I did that. I always wanted to do, like, I always wanted to burn on something, but I also had this terrible thing in my head that happened to me, not with you, Chris, but with other cats sometimes, where wherever I put the song, it would slow down to a medium thing anyway. So I started doing everything all fast and, like, okay, I'll blow first by the time I do. And I'm kind of exaggerating, but it transfers into this big band thing that I do too, because I think that what people forget is that, and I'm not talking about bebop jazz, but I'm talking about swing music. I think that it's dance music, and it was dance music.
Right. That's right.
Dance music, and dance music doesn't slow down. Pop music doesn't slow down. Rock music doesn't slow down. All those styles of music, to me at least, have a pocket. Have a great pocket, right? And they just there's a pocket, especially with dance music. So to me, Tommy Dorsey and Count Basie and Duke Ellington and all that is on some level dance music, right? Maybe on all levels. I don't know enough about this to really speak other than what my personal experiences are. And I like when a song gets counted off and it's got a tip to it. I don't want it to speed up, but it's got a little tip to it, and it makes you do that. It doesn't do that, man, and the energy gets sucked out of it. And that was kind of my thing. I wanted, even on a medium tune, even on a ballad, it should be. We're musicians, and we're human beings. It's going to fluctuate. It's okay. It's going to fluctuate, but I think you guys know what I'm talking about.
We got to have that feel, that forward motion, and it's got to feel. And it's your prerogative as a leader to say, this is what I want, and this is what I feel most comfortable. This is what my identity is my band, as Joe Gransden band. Certainly there's other bands that like to play like in quicksand, like pull everything back. But that's their prerogative, So if you have your own band, it is your right to say, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I want. And you have to align yourself with the cast that could do that.
But don't you guys, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but I want you to expound on something too, man, because you're the same way, dude. It's like time and tempo is everything. I mean, it trumps so many other things. And I've heard you talk about the same thing, man, and that, because that really, especially if you're an artist and you're trying to get a song across, and there's no worse feeling than it can go either way. It can either go down, or if it takes off and you're like, man, what?
I am hard on drummers, bro. I have a couple that I work with. That's it. I'm sorry to all you drummers out there. I'm hard on. I need feel. I need time. I need interaction, and that's what I need. And that's what I want, and I want to work with. There's other cats who want different things, and that's fine. And there's other people that want different things from piano that I can't give, and that's fine too. You know, you align yourself with the cats that can do that. I know one of the things, Joe, you were talking about the big band. I remember, and we'll probably talk about Twain's in a second, Chris.
Yeah.
But I remember at Twain's, you came up to me and was like, "Hey, man, I got an opportunity to do this big band thing, man. I think I'm gonna do it." He's like, "You want in on it?" I said to myself, "Ain't no way this big band." I said no, and now I'm like, that joint has taken off so much. Like the big band was working so much, and it still is. But I was like, I never thought it was gonna. But kudos to you being a businessman and how savvy you are to figure out how to pay 17 cats and get them fed and beer and drinks. And shout out to Cafe 290.
But it's also a passion, man. That's his I mean,
it was something he wanted, and breaking on his own arrangements, man. I was like, I look back on it, two things I missed. Well, three things I missed, but one of them was like when you offered me the gig for the big band, I was like, man, this ain't gonna work.
I remember that. The big band is kind of a dream come true. Standing up in front of a big band and singing or playing or entertaining is incredible. I mean, there's no feeling like that. And in this town in Atlanta, we have so many great cats. If I can get the right musicians together with the right personalities that gel, which I think I've found over the course of a number of years, it's awesome. I mean, we've traveled together. We've played a lot of shows. The band is really, really, really good. And we've kind of gone through our ups and downs, no doubt about it, whether it's with the amount of gigs we've had or with the personnel or with the level of performance that we can provide. But it's always, I think it's always top notch. And there's sometimes in certain chairs, there might be a period of time where there's a weaker cat, but then on the other chairs, there's great players and they bring each other up. It sometimes I think some cats just feel like, oh, it's just another sideman gig. But most of the guys that have been there for a while, it's a band. I mean, we're a band, and people come and go all the time. But it's a dream for me, and to have cats write for the band like Mike Walton or Wes Funderburk, right. Jeff Jarvis, Jeff
Hayden is great for that band too.
Hayden's great for that band. He's another
behind off, man.
True professional. Yeah. Jeff is great for the band. It's amazing, and I hope I can keep that thing running because it's very expensive. Yeah. It's so time consuming. Like right before I got on, I got a gig Sunday, and I'm already working on the set. I got to get all the music together. I got to get it. I'm not crying because I chose it, and I don't mind it because I love it. But it's right. It's a lot of work, and that's another.
I was gonna say that's your passion, man. That's your passion.
It is my passion. Yeah, it is. I mean, I love if I could have it my way, I would be in a 2 or 3 tour buses with 17 musicians traveling around the world playing like Lincoln Center does, or like any of those bands do that get to do that. I haven't been lucky enough to pull together an audience that'll come see me outside of the perimeter, really. but I mean, that would be a dream come true, man. My grandfather did that back in the day. He would tour with the bands. I don't know, Joe Venuti. He went out with some of the bigger bands and ride on a bus together. It's fun. It's hard to do as you get a little older and you have kids. Right. It's hard for the guys in my band. If it ever happened and we were out for more than a week or 2 weeks, boy, it better pay good. It'd be tough to get 45-year-old people to leave their families to come out and do that. Right. But boy, it'd be fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
Well, listen, man, another thing, and this was, I think, was a big turning point for a lot of people. Well, because there were jam sessions in town, but when you started the jam session, was that 2008 at Twain's? What year was that, man?
I would think it was earlier.
Was it earlier?
2006, something like that.
Was it 6? Okay.
It might have been. Yeah.
6. Yeah. And that was you were living in Decatur at the time, hanging out at Twain's, and they asked you about that. And I remember when you brought that to me, you're like, man, what do you think about doing a jam session over at Twain's? I was like, said, man, that might be kind of cool. That's one of my favorite spots too.
Right.
Everybody's tight with the owners.
Yeah.
Huh?
You were like, they got.
I'm sorry, what?
You love the pool tables.
Oh man.
You shoot pool, man.
This cat right here, but we'll get into that, man.
We asked all three of us. I think it was a gig that we were on. Yes,
we were on.
You and
right,
Craig Shaw, right?
Mm-hmm. It was you, me, and Craig, and you were like, "I'm gonna do this session, man, over at Twain's." We were like, "Yeah, man, let's do it." And then it kind of, we didn't hear about it for a second, so I kind of forgot about it. And then you're like, "Oh, we're starting next week." I was like,
"Yeah,
what?" I said, "Okay," and that was Tuesday nights, I think, right? Was that Tuesday? Tuesday night. And man, you talk about some great times in it, and just in Atlanta. Again, it was another great opportunity to develop that band, right?
Oh, yeah,
and develop the chemistry between the four of us, and come in, and we would play at least 2 or 3 at the top, man, like super, just really going for it. And then having, people, and at first there were a lot of people that were scared to kind of come up, man, and because they kind of heard what was going on. But the thing that you always had, man, was making people feel comfortable to come up and do their things. And I feel like you've done that also within your own bands of, I go back to when I started playing with you at Churchill, man. I was like, man, I don't know what to play, but you made me feel comfortable. You made me feel like I could do it, so it really helped my confidence there. So, and I think that's something that you have where you were able to kind of get, and we had all the cats were coming out, man. At that time, Melvin, Mace, like all the musicians were coming out, man. And just really going for it, man. And Russell Malone would come in when he was in town, man. And
Miller came out there, man.
Yeah, I mean Gary would come, Gary Motley, man, and it was just a really cool hang. So talk a little bit about just developing, your session, which is now at its third place, because it was Twain's, then it was Venkman's, and now it's at Napoleon. So just talk a little bit about that, and what did you think? I mean, was that something that you had always thought about, or was that something that was just thrown in your lap and you were like, man, let me just check it out and see what happens?
It was kind of thrown in my lap. I got asked to play at Twain's, and I did. I played a gig there. Maybe you were on it. I don't even remember, but we did one gig there, and it went really well. And the owners asked, would you come back? Would you do this like as a weekly thing or maybe a bi-weekly thing? And that's when I thought, this is a good chance for a jam session, because if I go back to New York City, living in New York City in my early 20s, I would go down to Smalls all the time. I lived on 94th Street in Central Park West, and Smalls in the Village, right? And I would walk, like, I don't know, that's 3 miles each way. I don't know. Right. I would walk, man. I love walking. I would walk all the way down to Smalls on Monday nights and hear Joe Magnarelli, who was just my hero, man. And he ran a jam session. Well, I think he had a gig, and then like at midnight, he turned it into a jam session. So I would go and I would listen to this cat play, and then I would be there for the jam session. And he would call me up, and I would play, and I wasn't really ready to play, but I would play. And he would be cool. He would be friendly to me. And other cats might be on stage. One time I had my eyes closed and I was playing on My Shining Hour, and I opened my eyes and Roy Hargrove was standing next to me. He played, and Tom Harrell was in there one night. So it was really, really a high-end, high-level jam session, but it was friendly. I started feeling comfortable about my playing. I wasn't really playing yet, but I thought I was, right? So I would go to these other jam sessions in New York, and a few of them were areas, as my man, love that cat, man. Damn, he could play too. I would go to these other jam sessions in New York, and a couple of them, boy, were cats that weren't good, treated horribly, man. Just the vibe was so negative. If you weren't like if you went to a session and it was a bebop session and you weren't a bebop player, boy, you got vibe. If you got up on stage and you couldn't play on the same level as the rest of the cats on stage, you got really vibe, almost to the point where you went home upset. Like here you went out, you spent a few bucks to support this jam session, and you got vibe. So I have these life lessons that happened to me that I kind of take with me. I'm 54 years old, but part of me feels like I'm still back in those days because when I think about these things. But I said, if I ever have a jam session, nobody's getting vibed. It's just not going to happen. It's just not. It's not that important, right? It shouldn't be that. So when I started Twain's, that was my goal. That was my goal. Let's make everybody comfortable and everybody feel good. Now, yes, I want the pros to play with the pros. And I want, if a piano player comes in that's burning, I want to make sure the rhythm section is burning too. It doesn't always work out that way, but I try to make it work out that way. But I also want the young kids to play with the great players. And I also want the singers to get a chance. And sometimes I'm a little bit too nice because I notice sometimes that a lot of the heavyweights don't come by because maybe they can't play 6, 7, 8, 9 songs like they might in another jam session. But there's just too many cats, and most of those guys and gals can already play. I mean, we all want to get better, and we all have room to grow. But they're already professionals; they're already doing it. A lot of times, you have these kids coming out, or these young people, or these grown-ups that are picking the instrument up for the second time in their life, and they want to learn how to play, and they never get a gig. They're never in front of a crowd. They're never on stage. They never feel that pressure, that nervousness that we all feel. So you get them up there and it just makes their month. Now, you also have to make sure that the people that aren't quite ready to be on stage from a talent perspective, as some of the great players, that they're respecting that there's great players on the stage too. So if somebody's vibing somebody, I always kind of step in and I just try to make it cool. And I think, I don't have any apologies for the direction that the jam sessions sometimes go. I'm sure I'd like it to be just burning, like Twain's was just burning, man. And so many cats came out, and it's also a great. I wanted it to be a networking thing. I wanted it to be where young musicians could get together and find ways to put bands together and find ways to learn how to play. I mean, that's kind of where we spent a lot of time, all of us did, in the practice room, but we really kind of learned how to play on the bandstand. A lot of us.
Definitely.
I remember. I'll tell you what. I remember Magnarelli. He called one night. One night he called. I forget what the song was, but he called the tune, and he asked me if I wanted to play on it, and I said no, I don't know that song. Well, the next week I came back and he called that tune again, and he asked me, and I said no. And afterwards he took me out to the diner, and he said, "It's been a week. You didn't learn that song? I mean, you're in New York. Why are you in New York? So he said, from now on, sit there and on a napkin. Once again, we didn't have cell phones and notes and all that. Write down the songs that you don't know that cats are playing, and don't come back till you know those songs. So I was learning 5, 6, 7, 8 songs a week, and being able to blow on them on the level that I could blow on them, which wasn't a high level, but I could get through the song. I knew where the bridge was. I knew what key, those type of things. So it was a great learning experience. Chris and I talk about this all the time. Tyrone, you as well. Sometimes people come to these jam sessions and they still don't know the song that they've been calling for 6 months. It's not that difficult to learn a song. We all know that, especially if you can get around your instrument on some level. You just have the jam session is not a place for you to become a rock star. People get up on stage and they have people filming them, and it shouldn't really be that. It should be I think it started, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Back in the day, it was because cats were always on the road, and they might meet in a city together. Oh man, let's go. Now that we're away from the concert atmosphere where we had to, put our tie on and do it, let's go have a few drinks and blow, man. Let's really blow. Let's really play. And that's kind of what it should be. It should be happy. It should be fun. It should be swinging. It should be killing. There's going to be good music and there's going to be bad music, but everybody should go home feeling fulfilled and feeling like, man, this is a great community we live in. And a great community we have. So that's kind of what I wanted to build.
You do a really good job of knowing everybody's name, looking them in the face. Just organizing the whole thing. I couldn't do it to that level. So it's just.
But you have done it. You have had a taste of running a session.
Yeah, and then I said I can't wait till Joe gets back.
I want to do session. I don't want to do the big band.
No. Hey, look. Those years, the Twain's years, was formative years for me, Chris, and Craig to play as a rhythm section together. You can think about Miles Davis, not to equate us with the rhythm section that Miles Davis had, but you think about, like Chris was talking about bands earlier, Miles Davis had those great 2 quintets that he had, and they were different entities, but they had a sound. They worked together, and I really believe when we were playing at Twain's, me, Chris, and Craig like gelled on a different level of playing behind you and playing behind other people's. It became our thing, and people came to come see that. And whether Kevin Bales or Kenny Banks, both Kenny Banks would come out, we knew this is something that we had, and that it was a sound that we had, and it was palpable.
Yeah, it was killing, man. It was.
Yeah.
There should have been a documentary done on that, or some kind of, Susan Rosemary's got still to this day thousands of photos, great photos of all the cats that came in. I mean,
right.
Anytime there was a band in town, a heavyweight band, if they could make it down there, they would come in and sit in.
Right.
It was a dream for me, but I never wanted anybody to go home feeling bad. A couple times that did happen, and I would call the cat the next day and say, "Man, I'm sorry. I saw you there all night. You never got a chance to play.
So that's nice.
I'll get you up early, right?" Because
Yeah.
I mean, Tyrone, you and Chris and myself and Craig Shaw, of course, he works every night. We had gigs, man. We were making a living. We like I said, some of these guys never had a gig, but now they get to be on stage with Tyrone Jackson and play a song. That's really, really fulfilling to a lot of people. And then a lot of people we saw grow into monsters like Darren Bush and and Mike Walton and a lot of cats came as kids.
Right.
And they're all nervous and it's okay if I play. Yeah, man, come play. If we would have vibed them, or if we would have made them feel crummy, or made them go, man, you're not ready for this or whatever. I don't. Who knows what would have happened? Right. I mean, not that we have that kind of power over other human beings, but you don't want to discourage young players,
And look at the comedic prowess you extended to Craig Shaw with a moment with Craig Shaw.
Man, for those of you who don't know, every week we would give Craig Shaw, and if you don't know Craig Shaw, he's one of the best bass players in the world. But when he tells a story, it takes about a half hour to say. So we would say, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for a moment with Craig Shaw, and Craig would have.
I think it was it 5 minutes with Craig or something like that?
A moment with Craig Shaw, but he would do Chuck Norris jokes.
He'd do a joke or he'd tell a little something, man, and it was he thought he was Johnny Carson, man. It was beautiful. He was so happy. He would call me up. I got something really good for the moment with Craig Shaw this week.
He's planning. He
would plan, and then he would always just take it to the edge, or maybe go a little over the edge.
He went over the edge one time, bro. I remember you were in the audience talking to people, and when he went over the edge, you looked up and you ran back to the microphone. I think that was the last moment with Craig Shaw.
Yeah, what I do? Yeah, man. It was really kind of a dream come true to have that gig, and a lot of great players came out of that session, and we were kind of recognized around the country, that 20th Jam. We were in Downbeat, I think. We were one of the most, I don't know what it was, but it was cool.
Yeah. I mean, the difference between, you talking about, walking down to Smalls and even what we were doing at Twain's, which was, we were trying to do that whole iron sharpens iron kind of thing, man, where, everybody's really trying to bring it every tune, every song. It's a lot different now. I guess it's just sort of, just because of just the, the natural way things have sort of swayed into the self-promotion. Everybody's, is the self-promotion thing. And you were talking about, people recording themselves and self-promotion is something, I guess, we all have to do at this point. I think that, when it comes to a session, you kind of look at it. It's one of two things. Is it a jam? Is it a session, or is it an open mic? And I think that people that don't know the difference between those two, and it could be more of like, a lot of singers, they don't really walk in the world of a lot of the way that our instrumentalists think, and they tend to think of it more as an open mic kind of thing, and they want to record themselves so they can have a video. And I'm just like, well, my thing is, okay, so what is the real point of doing, if you're not ready for that, if you're not working, if you're not doing gigs, if you don't have a band, how do you justify that? I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot here, but I'm just like, man, it goes against so much of how instrumentalists sort of think. We're thinking about practicing, and I was scared. I can remember being scared to go to sessions because I was like, man, I'm not going to get up there and embarrass myself. That was what I would be thinking to myself. So, but I think just the whole, do you guys agree with that? Just the whole self-promotion thing has changed the way people view being good versus, I guess everybody's good at this point is what I'm trying to say. Right.
I don't know if they know, I don't know if they know what it is, because like I remember Brian Hogan's used to bring a video camera everywhere with him. That was for edification purposes. Like I'm going to listen back to what was going on. Right. What I need to change, what I missed, what I need to get better at. If they were doing that, I would say that would be great. But the landscape has changed. What we do is for self-promotion and putting what we like. I mean, think about it. When last time you went to a restaurant and you thought, "Ooh, let me take a picture of it first and then post it online"? I was like, I went to just get something to eat, not the aesthetics of it. And I think that's what it is now. Is like, this is what I'm doing. So, I mean, it's a part of our fabric of our life right now until it isn't a fat part of it. So,
Well, we have to be careful too, because we are getting a little bit older, and we're used to, we've seen that change.
Right.
And in the younger people, everybody needs a video. You have to have video of your performance, and you got to start somewhere. So I don't necessarily get dark when that happens. I think they should take videos, but people should also be getting better every week.
Right.
Not that a lot of them aren't, but you should get better every week. There's a few singers now that come in every week and sing a different song, and it's so refreshing. You learn another song, I learned a song so I can sing it this week. Right. That's kind of a big deal, man. To do that, we have to show appreciation for those kind of things. And then the real young kids that come out and want some videos, you have to have it. You have to have videos. It's just you can't take a video of yourself playing at a jam session and Tyrone and Chris and Craig are on stage, and you can't post it and say, "Here I am with my band." And nobody's really done that. But maybe it has happened. Maybe it has happened. Maybe that's. I mean, you got to kind of know your boundaries, and everybody's kind of coming out for different reasons. And I get that, and I go home. I'm so happy when I leave Napoleon's. I'm like, man, that was cool. So many people are coming. Yeah, we do have a lot of singers, but it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
We're not. We play a song up front. Every once in a while, we get to burn on something. We get to really dig into something. A lot of singers come out. They bring their families. They're eating dinner. They're buying.
Exactly. They're supporting
the club. They're supporting the venue. And I have nothing. I'm a singer. I have nothing against that at all. But Chris made a point that I didn't think about. Is it an open mic or is it a session? A session, right? Like back in the day, a session might be you play rhythm changes for an hour, and the bass player plays and then gives the bass to another cat, and the piano player gets up, another guy sits down, and 40 horn play. That's a session, man. That's like, and that's absolutely fantastic as well. But
the economics got to work out too, because so many instrumentalists come in and they get a glass of water and sit there and buy their time before they get on stage. I'm like, dude, you got to support it too. You know what I'm saying? So like you said, a lot of vocalists come out bringing their families and stuff. So the economics got to play into it too. No venue want to just have their waiters and waitresses get occupied by a table by one person throughout the night, and they're not going to get any money for tips. I mean, the wage is not that high, but if they get tips, there's no turnover ratio. So what is it that's going to help them out? You got to have people that support it,
right,
and pay for things, buy a meal, do something.
Well, that's what happened to Twain's, man. We had 100 people in there, and the owner would say, "Hey, man, that was a great night. We had 100 people." He said, "But to be honest with you, the night after that, we had 20 people, and we made more money."
Right.
Nobody was just so. My advice on that front is 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old people can't come in all the time and buy burgers and beers and cake, So you get a Coke, you get a order of fries, you throw $5 in the tip jar, you've done your job, But you don't take up a spot at the table and just drink water all night and wait your turn to play 2 or 3 songs. I mean, it's just kind of a bad look,
Right.
You got to support the economics. You got to come out and you got to make sure this thing is gonna last. And you don't have to spend a lot of money.
The great Tia Rick says, I was just beginning to come out to sessions when I met Joe. I learned so much at that session, she says.
Tia is great. Tia is the one, my go-to when I can't be there. She can run that session and she does it.
She did a great job the last 2 times.
Yeah. She's I only video for learning purposes. Tia. Tia's fantastic, man. I didn't even know Tia videotapes when she's singing.
I know. I was just gonna say I've never seen her videotape.
I see her mom. Tia, type in the comments your mother's first name. I'm spacing, but I used to see her mom come to I think it was Just Jazz.
Yeah, great singer.
She would sing Shiny Stockings, and Eddie Davis would play trumpet over it.
Oh wow!
Johnny O'Neill would be on piano. Man, it was it was the greatest. You know what I used to do at Just Jazz. I was real young. I was 22, and it would be Ramon Poozer, Dub Hudson, Eddie Davis, Terry Smith, who would just Johnny O'Neill, and these cats would play. I mean, you couldn't believe how hard they were swinging. But I had a Sony cassette player, right? And this is 1992 or something. I had a Sony
Walkman.
Yeah, it was like, and I would keep that in my pocket, and I would record Eddie Davis' solos. Eddie Davis, for the folks out there that don't know, is in my opinion one of the greatest trumpet players that ever lived. Right, just a monster. I almost cursed, man. Yeah, Phyllis Ricks, thanks to you, Phyllis, man. She could sing, and she knew the shout chorus. She would sing the shout chorus, and then Eddie would play. But I would record these solos, and I have them still. And for years now, I practiced the licks that he would play. And I have a set practice that I do every day that I have time. And it includes mostly Eddie Davis licks. And I've been doing them for years. I've been with my wife forever. Before we got married, we dated, we lived together. And I still can't play them. She's still like, are you ever going to be able to play them? It was great trumpet playing, but it's good practice. I've shared some of the tapes with like Terrence Harper, who loves Eddie as well, and some of the other cats. Eddie was just killing, man. But those were great days. I don't know how you got on that tape. Oh, because Tia chimed in. We love Tia.
Right.
Well, listen, man. We're not gonna keep it. I told you this goes fast. We've been on for an hour and a half, and
it feels like 3.
So stupid.
Nice. Still, not that you ever had it, but you.
Hey, what does it say, by the way?
It pays same thing you last
time. It pays same thing. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Hey, we got some rapid fire questions for you.
All right.
What trumpet players most influence your style?
Kenny Dorham, Miles Davis, Chet Baker.
Okay, cool. Wow. You got another question up there, Falcon?
We got let's see. The ultimate. I know what this is, though.
Remind me so I can get there.
Oh, I think it happened in New Orleans.
Oh, yeah, I can attest to that one. This cat at the end of that gig, this cat packed up his trumpet and walked down the convention center and didn't say anything to any cats, bro.
Yeah, I had a gig.
Don't bring that one up.
I had a gig in New Orleans, and yeah, we hired some cats and we went and played. Didn't go as planned, and I was so excited to be playing in New Orleans, and I was telling everybody, my whole family, I was putting it out there, man. I'm playing in New Orleans, man. This is where this stuff started, man. And I got a gig in New Orleans.
Cat looked at me, bro, like you.
I had about 5 Johnny Walker Blacks on the band, so I was so miserable. And I didn't say goodbye to anybody except
he played the last note, walked off, bro.
I think that whole story, somebody needs to animate it and and put it
narrated.
Bro,
and
on the first
yeah,
intermission, this cat went off by himself and got something to eat, bro. He could handle it, bro.
Man.
He didn't want to talk to anybody, bro.
That was probably the worst. That was probably the worst gig I ever played as a leader. That was probably, man. That was horrible, man.
He walked off, bro. You should have seen him, bro. Like Mike Tyson, he faded into Bolivia, bro.
You were still packing up your keyboard. I was already at the bar at the hotel, like 12 o'clock. Yeah. That was. Yeah. You guys got some snow. New Orleans got some snow.
Oh man, a lot.
Yeah, man. You're gonna go back and play there soon. We should go to New Orleans and play.
We should. We
won't hire those cats.
Cats had mismatched clothes on, bro.
Man, you going to someday you're going to tell that's going to have to come out, man. It's just too good of us. It's too good, man.
Yeah, that was a good one, man.
All right, what are you working on?
What am I working on? If we're just talking musically and not my career, trying to position myself in different things, I'm working on two things specifically. I'm working on my phrasing as a singer. I'm working very hard on that, and I'm singing along with Frank Sinatra's "In the Wee Small Hours of the Morning" record, which is all ballads with strings. And I'm singing, and I am trying to copy Frank. And I know that a lot of different fields, you don't copy the people that came before you, but in jazz we copy who came before us. We don't go out on stage and necessarily copy them, but we try to learn the language from the people that came before us. So I want to see if I can phrase. Of course, I can phrase like him when I'm singing along with him because I'm just copying him. But can I hold the notes as long? And can I keep those notes in tune? And can I start my vibrato in a similar spot? Because I just love the way he does things. And then I'm really rededicating myself to the trumpet, and I'm practicing a lot of trumpet. I became fortunate to become a Bach artist, which holds some weight. I mean, you got to play if they're gonna put your name everywhere. So I am practicing hard. I still can't play those Eddie Davis licks, but I'm practicing hours and hours a day. Like you guys know, we're trying out some of these tough songs that went and recorded and wrote, and I just want to get it back to a level. I was on this pattern years ago, Twain, Churchill Grounds. I was on this pattern where I was really, man, I wanted to be one of the top trumpet players on the planet. And then I became, the band leader guy, and things kind of leveled off for me. So I'm trying to rededicate myself to the horn.
Cool. Nice. What are some of your favorite albums, big band and straight ahead?
Favorite big band album is Sinatra at the Sands with Count Basie, and the set that Count Basie plays before Frank comes out. I think it's called Before Frank or something. They played a warm-up set for like 45 minutes, and then Frank comes out. Well, that warm-up set is insane, man. The Basie band. In fact, I think I saw Robert Boone maybe post a comment while we were talking.
Yeah.
Drummer for the Basie band, who probably knows that record and probably appreciates it as well. Great drummer, Robert Boone. But there it is. Oh, that's his comment. If you notice the tempo, it's wrong. Yeah, Robert. And the other favorite record, I have a couple. I have Chet Baker, Diane, which is the record I mentioned earlier. It's just Chet with piano, and it's the most raw sounding live at the Sands before Frank. Thanks, Robert. The Chet Baker Diane is the most raw recording I've ever heard. And if you read the liner notes, Chet pulled in with a beautiful girl on his arm in his little sports car, walked into the studio, press record. And they press record. Him and Paul Bley just called the tune and they recorded it. It's what inspired me to do this record, Dichotomy, with Kenny Banks.
Right.
Just rawness, maybe a little reverb, but nothing else. Just raw, right? And I love that record. It reminds me of a cold winter day growing up in Buffalo, and I listen to it all the time. And then Miles Davis Sketches of Spain is my other favorite. And then of course I love all the bop records of Freddie and Blue Mitchell and Kenny Dorham. But those are my few favorites.
Yeah, I had no idea. You hit me to Blue Mitchell, was a West Coast cat. I knew nothing.
Yeah, Blue Mitchell.
About Blue Mitchell, man. So
well, Blue was very underrated. And Blue, Bobby Shue told me, I think it was Bobby Shue, because he would play with Blue Mitchell all the time in sessions. Blue wasn't happy with his embouchure. He didn't think that he was a good trumpet player. Now, if you can't play like Bobby Shue, then you also think you're not a good trumpet player, because Bobby Shue is incredible. But Blue could do things, Bobby, and none of us could do, right? As a soloist and as a composer and as a jazz musician. But I think he played low on the red part of his lip, which is maybe, I'm not positive about that, but which is very difficult to keep your endurance going as a trumpet player. But Blue Mitchell, man, he's the funkiest, most beautiful cat. He played like, if I bring a trumpet, you're supposed to play the trumpet. Let's see how I can do it. You're supposed to play the trumpet, and kind of have a nice technique. He played like that.
Oh, wow, crazy, yeah.
That in school, they wouldn't give you a good grade, but man, work for him, man. Just killing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you're off the hook.
It
only took you 2 years. It only took you 2 years to get here, but that's all right.
You were scared, man.
You were scared. You didn't want to come in.
Man. Oh, you guys, don't make it like I didn't want. You didn't ask me. Man,
whoa.
No, you asked me one time. Chris asked me like 12 minutes before it started. He's like, we called everybody in town. Nobody's available.
Nah, Joe was like, we don't have time for your little podcast.
No,
right.
I like you. I think you got, man, I hope this thing blows up for you because it's really professional. It's really well done. It's like everything about, like, Chris comes in with his little hat on, his little XP hat, his little t-shirt.
Here we go.
And he looks so nice. He's got to pull down like he's Vanilla Ice.
Well, I thought you were gonna have your little beanie on that you had in the warm up, man. When we did I was like, oh, this cat coming in.
Beanie?
He had a little beanie on, man. Had his little beanie, bro. Had the I was like, whoa, where you been? You been down the West End or something today? You been getting some fashion ideas?
Get a scarf like Jasar, correct?
Oh, he done the scarf, but Joe tried to tie the scarf, man, but it's so tight, bro. I'm like, man, let it. You need some air. Gotta get some air. Yeah, you gotta get some air under the knot, man. The knot is too high. You know what I mean? You gotta get some air under.
I love when we have a nice concert somewhere, and I try to really dress up, and I'm like, I'm gonna get Chris tonight. I'm gonna look cool tonight, and I walk in, I might have some kind of really cool outfit on, and Chris will look at me and he'll go like this. He'll look me up and down and go, man, bro. But you've gotten
much better though over the years, man. I will tell you.
What you don't know is
you got
an arsenal of suits and clothes in his car, bro. So this joker be peeling through his car like,
in the car.
I got an ascot right here tonight. I got some Aladdin shoes. I'm away.
Not the Aladdin shoes, bro. What am I, milkshake?
I love watching.
Milkshake, bro. Milkshake put us all to shame.
Hey, Warm Daddy, Wessel Anderson used to have some shoes. My original.
Wes. Man, me and Wes got into a war at the New Orleans Jazz Festival, bro. This cat, I had this light blue. It was sweet. It was a light blue suit. Had the white shirt, bro. Man, it was sweet, man. And all the cats, Donald Harrison walks, he goes, ooh, that's a sweet suit like that, right? But Wes has on this the plaid joint that you probably see. The blue, it's like blue and white, right? And I was like, man, that's what you wearing? Like that, man, cracked. He was like, he's like, wait and see. This cat went and changed after the freaking sound check into a completely different suit, man, into a pink suit. I was like, okay, man, you got it. You got it.
Yeah. Kenny Banks Sr. always looks good too, man. He always wears something cool. And he once told me, he said, man, you got to get some new clothes, man. You're the leader. You got it. And everybody's looking at me. He would say, I said, well, where do I get like hip clothes like you instead of like, I can't constantly go to Kohl's, man. I got to go someplace cool. So he told me to go to like K&G or something. So I went to some place that certainly not clothes. What is it called?
D&K.
Yeah,
D&K. You went to D&K, bro?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And I bought these Kenny Banks looking shoes and this shirt on. I got to the gig and Banks was like, bro, you can't pull that off. You can't pull that off, man.
Oh, man.
D&K is hardcore, man. D&K.
I remember, bro, you had the nice velvet jacket bro. And then John Sanford came with the knockoff Joe Gransden look, bro. He had a corduroy.
Sanford's still struggling, man.
I'm gonna knock him out because he every time we have a big band gig and everybody wears a black suit and I wear like the leader jacket, whatever it might be, he's got to have a nicer jacket than me, man. And everybody's looking at him and he's just going, what? But he knows he's got the $700 jacket on. Everybody else wearing their $35 sport coat.
Bro, we'd call him Joe Gransden Jr. because whenever you say something, he would repeat it back. He's like, you say, "Hey guys, be back at 11." Sanford say, "Hey guys, be back at 11." I was like, bro, we heard him say it.
Yeah, Joe tells everybody, you know, at the end of we finish rocking the set or whatever, man. Joe's like, "Okay, everybody stand up." Sanford's like, "Stand up." I'm like, shut up, man.
I wish he
I'm gonna clip. I'm gonna clip it and make sure that this gets to him because
he's cutting my lawn. He can't be listening to
that. I love Sanford though.
I love Sanford.
Come on.
We were talking about time earlier.
Oh yeah, man.
Better time than Tom Sanford.
Oh yeah,
and a swing. That cat swing you out the building, dude. Swing you out the building.
His jacket on and everything.
You had gray slacks on. He had like gray slacks. I was like, what are you doing?
But he can't get the shoes right though, man. He can't get the shoes, man. I'm like, bro,
he's so pissed off.
What's your shoes looking like? All right, man. We're gonna leave him alone. Listen, man, you the man.
Yeah, bro.
I love you. You're a great cat, man.
Crying over here.
And you know, we don't say it often enough, man. You know, it's all in love, man. The fact that we've all been playing together for as long as we have, which is, you know, you're talking about almost 20 years I'm talking about for us. Longer actually, because I started with Churchill with you at 04. Mm-hmm. Maybe something like that.
But what a great employer.
And you were playing with the Vinny Vici, so it's longer than 20 years for all of us, man.
But even if you couldn't do a gig, Joe, you'd book cats for gigs. So, I mean, kudos to you, man. You're one of the biggest employers of musicians in Atlanta. Half of us wouldn't be working if it wasn't for you. So we thank you, bro. Giving you flowers right now.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Love you, guys. We good?
Yeah, man. We'll have you back on, man. We'll talk some we'll talk some serious some bebop stuff, man, and talk about.
I gotta get a ride in that Trans Am, bro.
Man,
yeah, we gotta talk about that too. So
save that for next time. I got some great.
All right,
great Trans.
Sounds good, bro. All right, man. I will see you soon, man. Thanks for joining us.
All right, fellas.
Later, brother.
All right, peace. All right.
Yeah, man. That was Joe, bro.
Man, I'm just thinking back to like
I had to take the glasses off.
I had to take my eyes are all jacked up. But you know, you get old, man, and eyes start watering, bro. You ever get that, man?
You know, you had to try to look cool in front of Joe. You wasn't gonna take off them shades.
I can't give him no breaks, dude.
Can't give him anything, bro.
Give him no breaks, man. None. Every time I see him, I try to get him, man.
It's the funniest thing, bro. I love to see y'all go back and forth, man. It's real cool.
Man. Yeah, some man, cats would be crying, man. Some of the stuff we say to each other. Dude.
When y'all have that standoff and looking at each other, bro. And it was like a look down and look out. Let me see what you got. He's like, man, look at you got those Herman Munsters on.
Man. Listen, man. It's amazing that, you know, there's so much stuff we didn't even get into, but to think about, man, just how, I mean, the amount of how everybody has grown and seems like we were younger when we but I guess we weren't, man. We were all, you know,
that's young enough, bro. 2006.
Young enough, but you think about that, but we were still, we wasn't young. We were still old. I mean, you know, I'm talking about in terms of like, I guess so. When you think about like,
look, Robert Boone, Kelly McCardo's cats are, you know,
they ain't young no more.
Exactly, but they're like right at the part where they're having their, you know, their own thing, but they're still considered young. Come on, bro.
Okay, you keep thinking that.
In comparison, we were once their age, bro. We were once their age fire and everything, bro. We still got fire, but not like that.
Definitely. Well,
not like that. When's the
it's
last
all
time you hang out
relative, though.
past 2:00 in the morning?
But that's not fire, bro. That's just that's not. That ain't got nothing to do with fire, man. That's just, when you don't have any. I don't want to say you don't have any responsibility, because both of those cats are very responsible cats. But yeah, I mean, that's when you have you're a lot more
energy, bro,
in the scene. I don't even think it's any, because you're up, I'm up. It's like, I don't think, but ain't no reason for us to be out, dude. We talked about this. Right. We've learned our lesson. I learned you learned your lessons, man, about being out till 2 a.m, man. Like, ain't nothing good happens, bro. After
it used to be fun when we did do it, though, bro.
It was fun, man. Playing those late nights at Churchill, dude.
Oh, man, hanging and whatever,
Hanging, dude. The hang,
bro.
I mean, the hang. We used to, on my Monday night gig, we would hang out in Ollie's truck and play video games, man, till the sun came up, dude. Me, Dash, Anton, Ollie.
Oh, wow.
Now that was some energy. Let's see him do that.
Yep.
I mean, we were up all night long. But thank you guys for joining us tonight.
Yeah.
Had a nice little crowd. And had some nice comments and some nice questions.
We'll have a part 2 for sure.
We got to have a lot of part 2s, man.
Yeah.
And we got some part 1s coming up too. Got to have some new blood, bro. Some new blood. So it was a swinging podcast. I appreciate that, John.
Why'd you do your voice like that for John?
Because that's how he was swinging. Yeah, a swinging podcast, man. Swinging.
Wait, we know you weren't at Napoleon's Monday. You couldn't have been at Napoleon's Monday.
Real? Is that a fact? I wasn't? Man, I didn't know that. I was dying a slow death. No, I'm just kidding, man. Listen, man, my boys represented well. Wasn't nobody beating Ohio State. And they got a taste of it. They got a taste of it.
They did.
You got to get a taste of it first, man. You got to get a taste of it, and you get that little whooping on you. And
they got more to aspire to, man. It's cool.
Well, the thing is, you want to see, because here's what separates the winners from the losers. Do you hate to lose more than you like to win?
Right.
And Marcus Freeman had that look on his face, bro.
He did. I saw
that. Yeah, see? And you saw it too, didn't you?
Yes. Before halftime, he was like, man, if we would just not turn the ball over, do this, we could do this.
But that look of because you've seen it with all the greats, man. Right. When they get pounded like that,
right?
They're coming back for.
Oh yeah, I saw
revenge.
I saw it.
You see it, because man, what's with these cats smiling and stuff? Now, have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson smiling in the man. I'm like, why you smiling, man?
I couldn't in that situation, bro. I couldn't.
Did Tom Brady ever smile?
No, bro.
Did any great? I mean, those cats were like, "What's all, man?" You see cats smiling at the end of the game. He's dapping each other up.
He's still salty right now.
He's still. I mean,
but he's better actually that he's not doing it. But he's gonna be back at it again.
But you hear those cats, and they remember every detail of those losses, man.
Oh, yeah.
It lives with as many championships as some guys have won. They remember the losses more than they do the wins, man. It's just kind of the same thing with, okay, let's tie it into what we do. You have a bad night on the bandstand, bro. It's bad news for whoever you play with next, right? It's because you have to think like that. You have to go. That's what Michael Jordan used to do, right? Is he used to conjure up stuff,
right,
and make stuff up, right? You remember in the documentary,
right?
The documentary, he would make stuff. He would try to man, that cat dissed me. It's like, man, he never talked to the guy before. No, he did. He dissed me. I saw, you start, because you kind of have to play games with yourself like that, man. Have a bad night on the bandstand, dude. Like,
you're thinking about it on the ride home.
Home.
Man, why did I do that? How did I miss that? Oh man.
How did I miss that?
Yeah.
How did I miss that?
I remember somebody called a tune and I didn't know the tune. And Cat was like, that's the song you're supposed to know. This was a prime artist, right? I was like, man, as good as I sounded, I was thinking about that joint. I was like, I'm learning this song tonight.
Right.
Tonight, I'm learning this song, bruh. Stayed up till I learned that joint in all 12 keys and was waiting for him to call it again. Never called it again.
Waiting for him to call it.
Waiting for him. I was like, please call it.
Man, that's, I mean, Joe he said, we have to be careful because we are getting older. Maybe we are imagining this. I don't think we are, though, because you talk to guys who have maybe in their 70s or their 80s, and you ask them, you're like, is it me? And they're like, no, this is the worst. This is I've been through every, and it's like, I'm like, okay, I'm just making sure.
Yeah.
Just checking.
It's cyclical, man. They'll come around.
Well, yeah. I mean, but you can't worry about that anyway. All you can do is worry about yourself and get with like-minded people, man. That's the best. That's the best thing that you can do,
Right.
So,
and the SEC will be back, you guys. Don't worry.
Man, get out of here. I knew you were gonna fit that in.
Chip Kelly.
Dad.
Hats off to Chip Kelly. Some of the most
Chip Kelly.
Y'all
better go get him in New Orleans.
Oh my goodness. Get that other Kelly out of it.
You got to get a coach first. I
think they're close to hiring your boy from Detroit.
Nope. He's taking the Jets.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Defense. Okay. Well, Aaron Glenn is not going to take. Okay. Well, they better go get Chip Kelly then.
I wouldn't know, not as a head coach. You don't want
as an offensive coordinator.
You want him as a coordinator.
I like you.
I don't think he doesn't want to be. He doesn't want to be a head coach anymore. That's why he took the
head coach anymore.
He doesn't want it. That's why he took the gig at Ohio State.
Right.
Because he doesn't want to. He's over it.
I'd like the OC from Baltimore, former OC for Georgia Bulldogs. I like him as a OC.
You mean LSU?
No.
You talking about Monken? You talking about Monken at the Ravens? He's with the Ravens.
Yeah, Ravens. I said Baltimore.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about Buffalo. You said Buffalo.
Oh no. Yeah.
Who was your old OC at Joe Brady? Was there the 2019?
He's rewritten himself, man, reinvented himself because he had he was at Green Bay, right? Was he a coach for Green Bay 1 year or something?
No, he was an analyst at
or did he go to Carolina? I can't remember where.
So that sounds right. He was. I think he was at Carolina. You're right. Yeah. And then he's at Buffalo. So, but man, I don't know about that cat, man. I think not these play callers getting these. I'm not a fan. I mean, I'm not. But we'll see. They're gonna hire somebody. I was hoping they would get Glenn. I was hoping they would get Glenn too. I was hoping he would go. He would go there, but
right. Well, there it is.
There it is. Thank you guys for hanging out, and please like us on all of the platforms. Subscribe to us on Facebook or on YouTube.
Shout out to Falgoo.
Shout out to Falgoo, man. He's ahead. Now he's shooting topics. He's reading minds. He's
look. Joe Gransden's gonna try to steal him, man. He making notes, man.
What do you guys got? A producer back there? Like,
we're professional, bro.
See, he thought this was. I know what he thought, but that's okay.
Was a mom and pop.
But
thing,
dude,
man.
what a man. I'm the master. They're gonna let them find out. I wish I was more. I need to talk. I mean, man, I just don't have that, man. Like, it's something I got to work on, though, man. I got to be more vocal about things, man.
Okay.
I've been in a bad place with that, man. I've been really cursing people out before I even meet him and stuff, and tell him to get away from me. And Mark Podhorzer has been the subject of this many times. Of leave me alone,
right?
But I do that to my friends. I mean, I'm not going to do that to an individual, but I got to work on that, man. Maybe that should be what I'm working on instead of listening to reggae.
Just when you're ready to embrace Pod, he said something to you. You're like, oh, okay, all right, I see. Just when you're like, hey,
but that's a New York Knicks fan. That's a New York Knicks fan for you. It's a New York Knicks fan.
Yeah, man.
They just want to. I think they want everybody to feel the pain of what they feel. So
right.
Let's get off before he can retaliate, because I know a comment's coming if he's in here. Right. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We don't know what we will talk about next week, but we will come up with something. It might even be a guest. We will see what happens. All right. See you guys next week. Peace.